everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Short-Term Rentals with the one and only Tijani. Thank you so much for coming today.
Good. I appreciate y'all having me.
And today we're going to talk about the money factor of short-term rentals. So first of all, what are some of the factors that you consider when setting up the price for a property?
So when you're looking to set up prices, price is one of those things that can be pretty tricky. And a lot of it is market dependent. And you want to be well versed and have a good understanding in your market. For one, you want to know what those high seasons and low seasons are in your particular marketplace. What months are the high months and what months are the low months? What kind of income do they demand in those particular months? And so this is information that will come with research. This is information once you actually know the certain things and those nuances and understanding what is advantageous about that marketplace. And, what, like in Houston, we have the #1 medical center in the nation. So we know those areas are ideal, and we know how that helps us price our units as well. So you can also look at other listings and see what they're priced at. Of course, that research and understanding what other comparable listings are priced at would go a long way as well. Then also on top of that, see what the hotels are charging in your area. What are the prices for the hotels that are actually within that same kind of level as your particular property? Because you can have, there's something that Jay Massey, he coined, like the Walmart, Target, or Nordstrom level within the short-term rental strategy. So you can have a Walmart level product or a Target level product or a Nordstrom level product. Ooh. So literally when you look to make these comparisons, you want to look at, okay, what are hotels charging? But if you have a Target hotel, don't be looking at prices of what a Motel 6 charges or what, what a 5-star Diamond Class hotel charge. Look at hotels that are kind of at that level, right? If you have a luxury high-end property, okay, what are those luxury hotels charging in your area? And of course, you're not going to use that. You're not going to say, okay, that's what I'm going to charge. Absolutely not. But that kind of gives you an idea, right? It kind of gives you an idea and helps you make a decision. So there's a lot of factors that go into charging. A lot of times you want to, some of it might be experimental, right? What we did, whenever we set up a new listing, we won't necessarily price our units to be at the market rate because you don't have enough reviews yet to demand market rate pricing. So we come in a little bit lower. We'll come in lower, maybe 30% lower. And then once we get 5 solid 5-star reviews, boom, we bump it up 20%. And we bump it up again another 20%, right? So that's what we're looking to do. We bring it up gradually because now your reviews match that demand, right? Now that pricing, your reviews are a correlation with that particular pricing strategy that you have. So a lot of factors when it comes to pricing. Do the research at the end of the day. Do the research, understanding what other properties that are comparable to yours are offering. Do the research on AirDNA. We talked about AirDNA before, but look at AirDNA. Run the comparables on there to see what those numbers say as well for comparable properties. And that'll give you a pretty good idea.
And you mentioned how the price changes, like depending on the high season, the low season. Can you explain us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So certain seasons are high, certain seasons are low. Technically, generally speaking, this is for city markets, urban markets. I'm not talking about beachy areas or mountaintop areas or unique foresty areas and things like that. These are city areas, type of trends. What you'll find is this is what we found in Houston is that, like, right now the month that we're in, we're kind of in these summer months, right? So right now bookings should be pretty decent. You should be pretty good. If you're running your units right, you're probably, anywhere between 75 to 100% occupied right now. Oh, wow. If you're doing it properly. So then on top of that, then we're going to go into the season to where that fall season right before the holidays. And so it kind of starts around August to where people are kind of going back to school. Parents are planning, they're traveling around their kids, and the college students are starting school that month. And so a lot of traveling tends to slow down that month. So we kind of start to see a little bit of a teetering off. And so then we're going to find that same energy all the way up until about October, November. Then you're going to find a slight uptick uptick because now we're in the holiday season. Now everybody's coming home. They're likely not going to want to stay at the house they grew up in. They're going to want to book an Airbnb or a lot of times what families are doing these holidays, which my family did just last year.
Oh, wow.
We found just a massive Airbnb and we all stayed there for the holidays. We stayed there for a whole week during Christmas. So, a lot of those kind of moves are becoming more and more and more popular as well as Airbnb becomes more popular. So what we'll find is then we get an uptick during the holiday season, and then come January, it slows down again because start of the year, people aren't really traveling that much. It's the start of the year, so people are just getting their wits about them. They're planning out, strategizing the year, So then come March, boom, uptick again. Now you're in an uptick, you're in a high all the way back up to the end of the summer again. And that's literally usually the trends in most markets just from a 30,000 foot view. Then of course you get more granular, you have certain things that may happen in that marketplace. You can have something that can happen to go against the trend, like say a bad weather, a bad storm or natural disaster happens, that might affect the trend depending on when it happens, or something crazy might happen, like you might have a super crazy convention or a festival or a concert that might be happening that month, and it might, in a market that usually tends to be kind of slow. Now that's a hot month because something that's happening in that marketplace. So you just never know, right? You never know. It could be a sports team. The finals can be coming to your city. So you have to consider all these things come to factor. You can have big events, festivals at the convention centers, like all these things play a role. We were just in Nashville and they had the CMA, the Country Music Awards or the ceremony. It was I didn't know anything about it. Literally, they had over 1 million people flood the city for that entire week. You know what I mean? So, in Houston, we have the rodeo in March. Literally, it's millions of people that flood the city that entire month. So it really just depends. Your market plays a role. But yeah, those are things to definitely take into consideration.
That's right. And I feel like when you're doing your research to invest in a certain property in a certain location, it's really good to also take into consideration those special holidays that they may have. Let's say that you're trying to go to Louisiana and they have the Mardi Gras. You need to be careful of those tiny little holidays because they could increase also your revenue during that time. So I did notice though that, for example, myself, when I was trying to book an Airbnb during the holidays, it would be a little bit more expensive. So how do you know how much to charge during the holidays? Because it's not like you have a lot of time to do your market research. How do you do that?
A lot of times during the holidays, a lot of it's, when we've kind of figured it out, it was trial, because when we first started, it wasn't enough data when we got into it. So a lot of it was trial, and a lot of it's research as well. I think on average, you'll probably see about a 20% increase during the holiday in terms of what you can charge. Some people charge more, like 50% more, especially like during the Christmas, during the New Year's.
Thanksgiving, probably.
Thanksgiving. Some people, 2 times, 3 times during New Year's. Like, for New Year's, you probably could probably at least 2x your revenue during New Year's, something like that. So it just kind of depends. A lot of it's gonna be trial, but now there's enough data. We'll see what people are charging, what people are able to get booked. So yeah, a lot of times when it comes to figuring out exactly, okay, maybe I can increase it about this much during the holidays or increase it about this much when this is happening. I would just we usually start focusing on holiday pricing well ahead of time. I mean, like September, we're starting to, all right, let's start figuring out what we're going to do for a holiday season. We're already starting to play with those numbers because that's when people are starting to book because they know that these units are less available during the holidays. And they also know that it's going to be a larger group of them because a lot of times when they travel during the holidays, there's larger groups, there's families, there's large groups of friends. And so they tend to start making those reservations earlier on. And so you want to start increasing those prices and start looking at your prices like right after the summer for the holidays, around that fall season for sure.
So probably like 2 to 3 months in advance before a certain holiday would happen, right?
Yes, 100%.
And now, how do you know if you're charging way too much or way too little for the property that you've got?
It's interesting. I'll tell you a story.
Ooh.
I'll tell you a story. So this was in May 2018. So it hadn't been a whole year for me in the business. I was just about 6 months into this business. one of my arbitrage deals. It was a 1-bedroom apartment, downtown Houston. I was 29 out of I was only 1 day left. 1 day left to be booked, to be 100% occupied for the month. And so somebody sent an inquiry for this last day that they wanted to book it. So I'm like, oh, yes. I'm about to be 100% occupied. I'm about to brag to everybody. I'm about to text this person like, man, I'm 100%. What are y'all doing? So I had this person. They said, "Oh, I want to book it." They said we're coming in from Galveston, which is like the closest beach to Houston. It's about an hour and a half away from Houston, depending on where you are. Now they said, "Oh, we're coming in, and we want to stay close to the campus. We just need a night to crash." And I said, "Okay, cool." And I should have been suspicious because he said we, but then when I asked him, he goes, "Oh no, it's just me." I said, "Well, how many people?" He said, "Oh no, it's just me. It's just me." I was so focused on being 100% booked that not that I didn't see the signs. I saw them, but I chose to ignore them. I was like, "I'll be all right. It's one night." It's one night. Well, what's the worst thing? Let's be all right. Let me just get this night. Let me just get this booking so I can brag. So I can put the screenshot up and put it on my stories on Instagram to say that, hey, look, I'm 100% booked. And so he came, booked it, gave me checking instructions. He checked in. About maybe 2 hours. Now, this was a late check-in. He probably checked in around 9 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Probably around, not midnight. My phone starts blowing up. I'm like, what the heck? It's the apartment complex calling me. It's the security guard at the apartment complex calling me. And so he calls me. He's like, TJ, he said, "Hey, man." Mr. Ray's a trip. Y'all got to know, but I'm a character. I'm impersonating people sometimes. He's like, "Hey, man, I don't know what's going on in that little apartment you got, but it's craziness going on over there." I said, wow. What the heck? So immediately, I go look at the camera on my phone. I look at the camera, it's pitch black. I'm like, dang, freaking camera's broken right when I need it to be. And I'm looking at the camera and I noticed, you see when you're recording something on the camera, you still see that red dot? The red dot was still blinking on that camera. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh no.
The camera's working. They covered it up.
What were they doing? Oh my goodness.
So I said, oh my gosh, what is going on at this unit? And so I called the concierge guy back. I said, "Hey, Ray, I'm on my way." He said, "All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go in there." And I said, no, wait on me. Let's go together. Wait on me, that way we can go together. So I said, "I'm on my way. I'll be there in about 13 minutes. So I drive up there. And so we go up there together. The view, I wish I wasn't so angry. I would have taken a video, take some pictures of video. That would have been an amazing, amazing learning lesson, or just something to discuss in a future class or something. When we got out that elevator, the sea of people in that hallway, they weren't just partying inside the unit. No. They were packed full of people in this high luxury, nice apartment that they just built not even 2 years ago. Wow. They just built this beautiful spot. Neighbors is full with neighbors. Neighbors are coming out the room, pissed off, wondering what the heck is going on. It's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what
the gosh.
And so we're just like, everybody gotta go, get out. Everybody gotta get out. And so we walk in there, we notice they put socks over they put these little small, almost like shower caps, but they're tiny. They put it over the smoke detectors because they were smoking weed in there too.
Oh my gosh. No.
So it's smelling like a pound in there. I mean, it's foggy in there. So it's people everywhere. It's weed up in the air. I mean, you just saw this big old poster on the wall. It says, "Happy birthday," so. It's a party. It's a party. And so we're like getting kicked out. I'm on the phone with Airbnb. Airbnb's like, okay, we're gonna call them. We're gonna get them out. Airbnb's trying to get them to call to guest them. They gotta go. We tell them they gotta go. Thankfully, nothing major was broken. Like no TVs. They didn't break the couch. They didn't break the dining table. It was just a huge, huge mess, which we can handle big messes. Is when big things break, that becomes a big issue. So thankfully that was that. But it was an interesting time and we learned a lot. I learned a lot from that. I learned that, first of all, not all money is good money. Not all money is good money, for one. I also learned that being 100% occupied isn't always a good thing. You know, when I told this story to somebody else who's like very successful at this business, somebody I would consider a mentor at the time. When I told him the story, he was like, you do know that you actually left a lot of money on the table. He said, you're 100% booked for the month. You left money on the table. I'm like, I'm 100% booked. So you got to understand, if you're 100% occupied, that means you're not charging enough.
Oh.
You didn't charge enough. It's better to be about 80% occupied and charge more. You'll make more money. And your unit's in better shape because now you actually have the time in between to handle any issues there may be, any maintenance issues, something breaks. You can clean, you can take your time. You can get because we try to do at least a deep clean. You can get a deep clean in for the month. That way your property's better maintained, but you don't give yourself any of that room. You got back to back. That's just going to wear your property down faster and faster. So being 80% booked, charging more, is in multiple ways more profitable than be 100% booked charging less.
That's right. And at the same time, it protects your asset. Because then again, you're delivering this product, but you're trying to keep it as good as possible for your future guests. But there's no way that you can do that if you don't have enough time to even clean it at that point.
100%.
And so I feel like for my last question, how do you know how much to... oh my goodness, I just lost my train of thought. So when it comes to like the pricing, I know that there are some low times and some like times that you actually are occupied. How do you deal with the balance of your income on those times that you're not occupied?
Well, I'm in a market to where we have low and high seasons, but we're never not in the green in any month. We're always in the green. Because we're in an urban market. We're in a part market that's more city-based, right? So the volatility isn't as heavy with us because we're in the city. We're downtown, we're in midtown, we're in different sectors, different corridors. So because of that, our volatility isn't as crazy as, for example, like a beachy area, a mountaintop area. Where you can go 1 month, be 80% booked, and the second month you may have one booking the whole month. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? So those are a lot more volatile in terms of seasonality and in terms of volatility. So there's not a month that we go through that we're not making money, that we're not profitable in the green. And that's because we're in a market that we have so many avatars, so many different guests. You can think about it, somebody who's traveling to a beach is a lot less reasons why somebody would travel to a beach than it is for somebody traveling to a city, right? There's more reasons why somebody would want to travel to a city area than a beach area. Beach area, you may be traveling just to get away for work, or you're going on vacation. Really the only two main reasons that somebody travel to a beach, those are your two main guest avatars. I mean, I serve families, we serve business travelers, we serve medical people, we serve doctors, we serve students that are we serve professors, you know what I'm saying? So we serve people coming in for conventions and things like that, for sports games and to watch the Rockets play. So we have so many more avatars. This is why we can stay more booked throughout the year. We have a more consistent and less volatility throughout the year versus like the beach area, mountaintop areas. Mm-hmm. They have a lot more volatility.
Which I feel like it's also another area to consider whenever we're looking at a property. It's not only the location, but also how much volatile the market is going to be.
100%. Now, understand, in these beachy areas, when the months are good, they're phenomenally good. They're more profitable, tend to be more. Usually, they could be more profitable than the city area and the regular urban areas, because when the market's good, the high seasons are high. It's just that the low seasons are low. So that's how they're able to keep that balance. But our ADRs, which the ADRs are average daily rates, our ADRs are a lot lower. You know, those ADRs are $2,000 a night, $1,500 a night, $3,000 a night, some $4,000 a night. Like we're $150 to $500 a night. Some of our units are $700 a night, but that's probably the most we have right now. Like the highest charging unit that we have is $700 a night.
Which is good because it does keep you in business even during the low season.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, I guess at that point you just have to figure out that good balance between like your high seasons, your low seasons. No matter what location you're in, you're always going to have those two. So you just have to run your numbers properly.
100%.
Thank you so much again, TJ. And thank you to our audience for listening to this podcast. And we're going to see you on the next episode where we're going to find more ways to start investing into short-term rentals.
Let's get it.
Thank you.